Yo, hey, what's up, viewer? Welcome back to this Nebulous live development creation series. I had already started Day 14, Hour 1, but I wound up cutting the video about halfway through to go run an errand for my sister. So I decided to just start this as Day 14, Hour 1, even though I've already done about a half hour of stuff before that. Alright, so in the last video I posted, I was running out of energy pretty hard, and I was kind of just getting like mental fog. I wasn't really focusing very well, so I cut that video a couple minutes short, and I was trying to figure out a way to deal with the camera system, and I was going back and forth between doing manual camera and trying to use Cinemachine, and I was struggling a little bit with the Cinemachine. So today, before I jumped on here, I reread the Cinemachine manual, and in the previous half hour that I had recorded that I scrapped, I effectively applied a few things from Cinemachine, and I'm hoping I can continue on that momentum. Another thing, I have a puppy boy. I've got a puppy dog here who I am hoping I can trust for a good hour. So if I have to jump up to deal with him, then I apologize for that. Alright, so what I was working on here was essentially whenever I enter play mode, instead of manually selecting where the camera goes and micro adjusting it, my goal was to use a Cinemachine setup that will do a better job than that. It was working better last time. And let me try and remember what I was doing here. So it was actually for a split moment working correctly. And I think part of the reason for that was because I came in here and I had to manually change them anyway. So we come over here. Oh, it even looks like the camera is set up correctly. Okay, so let's see. Set it to live. Is it working now? No, it's not. Okay, so the group is correct. Perhaps it was in here I changed something. No, it looks like all my settings are still accurate. So for some reason the virtual camera is moving, but the main camera is not. For whatever reason, not adjusting properly, which is very bizarre. And it even has all the settings I had set up. Alright, so it's targeting, and it's basically targeting correctly. For whatever reason, the camera is not setting itself up correctly. It is supposed to be... Okay, so I'm remembering what I messed up here. So every time I spawn a nebula, I set it up to spawn a new virtual camera, and what I'm currently finding is that the main camera is picking the incorrect virtual camera. Which means what I was doing here is correct, right? I didn't set this to live. This needs to be the live camera. And now is it working? No, it keeps being weird for some reason. It's saying this is the live one, but this one should be on. This one should not be live. So I'm not sure why this is acting like this. It is basically just picking the wrong. It's picking the incorrect target camera. And I'm not sure why that is. The Cinemachine brain should be picking the correct camera here, which is this one, but it's not letting me actually do that, so very weird. Oh, okay, so now I just, right as soon as I said that, I do remember that if you deactivate the virtual cameras, they do not actually grab the camera. And now the transposer is at this virtual cam. So I take a look. Now it's looking better. Okay. So I had to check that for a second. Let me check on the puppy. Looks like he's doing alright. He's a couple months older than the pup. But once or twice he's had accidents in here, so I'm giving him a new shot here to not make a big mess. And he's doing good. Alright, so now I remember that. And this is effectively the behavior I want. And I didn't have to use the custom script I wrote to pick some kind of position for the camera. I was just able to plug in the values. It's not perfect, it tweaks very minorly here and there, but the idea is that it's supposed to be better than writing, because essentially it's just like, the idea is that the components all have code I would have to write anyway. Alright, so a quick thing I need to do is, in a nebula, I have to deactivate this virtual camera by default. And a nebula target group. Well, let's see if this works. This is how it's supposed to look from the beginning. Once it decides to compile. It starts off like this, and then it puts itself in the right position. As more nebula get added, it'll actually zoom itself out, which is pretty cool. For now, though, I'm going to have to actually change this to galaxy. Change it to something like this. And it's not letting me change that. Okay. Alright, so essentially the next step now is I've got to, and this is something I was getting a little antsy on at a previous stage. Basically, even though I don't need the star systems in the nebula at the beginning, I'm going to need them at some point. So like once the galaxy comes into view, there are supposed to be stars in here. So do I generate those stars like on start, or do I wait until I've selected it or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's just some nuance here. So effectively, I'm going to more or less on selection. I guess the next thing I should try to do is this. Okay, so if I select this and I scroll up, basically. It is supposed to transition from this camera to the next camera. So like if this is the first camera, and I grab the first nebula and turn on its virtual camera, does it do a transition? Okay. So it did do a transition, but it was like a little... Oh, I guess that's just because the camera's pointed wrong. I take it. And if the camera was... No, it says it's not rotated at all. Oh, it actually says it is. Oh, you know what? I think I know what the deal is. Okay, so if I turn off this camera, but it is transitioning basically correctly. If I turn off this camera and then go back to the main camera, and I change the blend to just do a linear, and then I turn on the camera. Now it's just, I think now it will actually move it straight there. Except for it's not. It's like, for some reason it's choosing to turn the camera on the way in. Even though the virtual camera so yeah. Oh, I think I understand what's happening. Okay, so basically what has to happen is like the target group needs to turn off, and then the virtual camera needs to turn on. Basically. So like turn these off and then go to the nebula camera. That doesn't do the transition properly. So I basically understand what's happening. It's still doing its galaxy target behavior. Even though I don't need it to be doing that in this instance. I just need it to transfer. Although it is a step in the right direction. Alright, so that's lame because how do I just have it straight transition? I guess I would have to clear these and then turn on the camera. See if this works. That really screws the view up though. Let's give it a shot and see if it works or not. So we drop these. It screws up the view, but does it in fact transition correctly? Okay, so that's better, but now it looks like it's busted up for some reason. Oh, whoops, I turned off the main camera. So... Okay, so something I just imagined was I could set up like another virtual camera and transition from that non-target grouped camera to I guess the other thing I could do is perhaps say maybe look at this virtual camera, but then screwing up the field of view. Yeah, yeah. Shucks, 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 shucks. Alright, so I guess the only idea I'm really coming up with is would be to go like this. Well, I don't know, I basically want the... Like, I want these settings, but I want them to... Man, it's just so weird. It's almost like all I can do is use a default camera view anyway. And the target group isn't even going to work correctly. So let's see your target group. Let's see, if I add a virtual camera here, oh, it's tripping anyway. Alright, so it's on the right track, but I guess I just need to Google, because I'm not really sure. So let's see, we've got Unity 3D, Cinemachine, transition from target group camera to virtual camera. And I guess I can just open this back up, take a look. And basically blending between them is the one. Okay, so let's talk about custom blending. And it's basically nothing. So this is basically the idea I had, was to here, let's try this. Oh, that was weird. Okay, so we're going to pause. We're going to click on target virtual cam. We're going to change the virtual camera's look at target to this nebula. Then we are going to reactivate the virtual camera. And then you're going to see if it linearly transposes or not. And in that instance, it not really, didn't really work. Oh, it actually did kind of work. The field of view is just janky. Alright, well, for the 18th time now, I'm in the mood to not use Cinemachine. It keeps sounding like a great idea outside of the moment, but then the second I try to use it, it's just these little things show up that can be dealt with pretty simply with just a custom equation and a little bit of understanding of math. Like, I know there's a way to take the view plane of the camera and the area of that slice and apply that to the width of the capture, which is just like the galaxy, size of the galaxy, and just make the camera look at the whole thing. Alright, so if it's gonna struggle with me like this, I hate to not use Cinemachine, but I can only read the manual so many times and have it not work before I turn to something else. So it needs to keep. I mean, it's working, but why is the field of view on that camera accurate? Focal size or whatever. Okay, let's see if. Maximum field of view is at 60. And the camera's field of view, I think, is all the way at 1. So that's the main issue, is that the field of view is resetting to 1 for some reason. When target virtual camera. So I do this. Now the field of view is back up to 80. Max view is 100 here. So for some reason the field of views are shifting incorrectly. And if I activate this virtual camera, what if I turn this one off at mid? Okay, so that didn't exactly work. Yep, it's just a little weird. Hold on, let me check on the pup again. Hey, pup. What you up to, huh? You better relax, puppy. Okay. Let's see here. So probably what's going to have to happen is I'm just going to have to change some kind of I'm just going to have to change the cameras. Well, here, let's... I guess if I change this to like 60. What if I go like the 60, 80? And that's on the virtual cam. And then we turn off the virtual cam and turn it back on. So it doesn't screw up. In that instance, it's not screwing up the... So in that instance, the field of view is staying the same, like it's supposed to. So I'm wondering if, like, it's almost like it's just working now for some reason. Oh, but, well, hold on. So the issue was that I actually wanted to turn off the virtual camera and then turn off the target group then transition the camera. And it still didn't work. So even though I disabled the target group, man, oh man. Driving me nuts, man. Driving me nuts. What can I tell you? It's almost working though. I mean, it's like almost there. If it just wouldn't rotate like this, it would be that it basically be working. So like, okay, so let's try Googling again. So like Unity 3D, Cinemachine, stop target group from turning camera during transition. So this guy says you should use it, and I'm like annoyed at using it. So I'm thinking like screwing around with all these settings basically. Alright. I think I'm going to kind of mix it up here. Let's see, I'm in exit play mode. I am going to go to my Galaxy script. I'm going to reactivate the orient camera script. I'm just going to manually move the main camera, barring that it doesn't get overridden. I don't really feel like using the target group. I'm going to use this either, but I am going to create a new virtual camera. We can call it something like this, and then more or less how does this actually look if I start this? I turned off the target group code. I just have to look at the galactic disk then. How about now? Alright, so it's a little weird. Field of view is too low. So in here I can change the size. Oh, I thought I could. And I'm actually not seeing it anymore. So I know this needs to change. It's looking at the target. Okay, so if I decided to also follow the galactic disk, oh wait. Okay, so I don't remember where that setting went. Dadgummit, pup. Dadgummit, this is driving me nuts. I ganked the brain off it. The main problem is just the fact that the field of view is way too small. And that can be micro adjusted more or less. Man, I'm having severe indecision right now about whether or not to use Cinemachine for like the 8th time. You people are probably getting tired of hearing me complain about it, but I'm getting tired of it not serving me properly. Like, come on, give me a break. It's not supposed to make my camera control harder. It's supposed to make it easier. And all it's doing is wasting my time. I get stuck in completely no progress trying to dick around with using these Unity extensions, which is disappointing because it's supposed to help. I mean, for how much it's supposed to evade, like keep me from using scripts, the only way I'm going to get this to work is by using scripts. I'm going to have to make scripts that custom change these values anyway. God dang it. Alright, so you know what? Screw this. Someone else can freaking do this. I mean, if I'm gonna freaking be scripting everything anyway. Sorry, Cinemachine, but I don't got time to dick around through stupid crap. Damn it, it's supposed to work really good. Like, it's supposed to be so good, and it's just not. So, my bad. My bad, Mr. Blogger, who says it's supposed to be great, but I don't know why I should be using it if it's not going to work for me. So I guess I'll just have to think a little bit more. Alright, so now when I start the game, still getting an issue here. Sorry, the puppy is being noisy. He's out of water or something. Let me take a look while this is compiling. Do the water pup, man. Give me 2 seconds, I'm gonna water the pup. Plenty of time since this compiling's happening. Hello, dweeby. Alright. Sorry about that. He was gonna sit there and keep chewing on that plastic until he got water. Okay, so I also yanked the Cinemachine thing from here, so it's gotta recompile again. Kind of weird. I wasn't having these compilation issues much. And here we go, third set. So it needs to do 3 compilations of the same thing. Alright. So, excuse me, enough complaining, hopefully, from me. Because every time I try to use that stuff, it just doesn't work. Which is really unfortunate, because that's the only strength of Unity over other engines or other approaches for making games, is that you're supposed to have this functionality built for you out of the box, so you're just supposed to be able to plug in and use. But over the years, every time, for the most part, that I've tried to actually utilize anything to that nature, this is what happens. It yields complications. And that's the last thing I need right now, and I'm trying to, you know, not get in trouble for credit problems. So let's see here. Maybe the field of view was set like 100 or something? Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at 100. And ta-da, now every time I open the camera up, man, this is lame. I'm thinking about removing the Cinemachine package completely if this is going to keep happening. And it's a little off because the UI is skewing the center of the position, but I might have to restart Unity or something, because I don't know why I'm getting these. I do not know why I'm getting those issues all of a sudden. So let's see, if I grab the main camera and I scale it in global space ever so slightly, it's looking a little better. I'm going to have to tweak the code that changes the... I'm going to have to tweak the zoom and pan code, basically, to make it a little bit... give the player a little bit more control. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to copy the component values. And I'm just going to paste them in here. And this should provide a pretty clear view of the galaxy from the start. And of course not really though. Did I really paste in these values properly or what? I guess that's strange. Are they pasted in or aren't they pasted in? Alright, so that's weird. So I'm just doing it wrong somehow. I have to paste, or maybe I have to copy the world value. So let's try that. Copy position, world position, and then leave. Or hold on. Yeah, this was not happening. After this video, I'm gonna have to reset my editor. Okay, so let's grab the world position again and to do something like this. And then now we're going to copy these world positions. Otherwise, it's 10,000, 15,000, negative 22,000. And let's see if I can paste these in now. Okay, so now it should be fine. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Honestly, I don't know what's going on. Like, come on. Come on, Jesus Christ. What were these values? This is definitely annoying me, big time. I'm definitely getting annoyed as can be. Just trying to make a little camera move around on the screen. Compared to some of the other stuff I can do. Like, this camera can't get in the right spot? Come on. Come on. For some reason it's resetting itself to a base value, and I think that's because of my own component, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So that's actually my own fault here. So maybe if I make this 30 and make this 28,000. Let's see how this looks. $29,000. And hopefully that will be exactly correct. Alright. I guess that's getting close. We'll call it 30,000 and leave that nitpicking be. Okay, so now, one thing I've noticed is that the nebula is going to have to be larger. Oh, and actually I'm yanking these now. Nebula is going to have to be a little bit larger, so let's increase the size of the nebula. And let's see how it looks. There's going to have to be more volume for the stars to go inside of it. And do they look any bigger, or? Okay, so now they're a size of 25, which is still not quite correct. Okay, so I think it doesn't matter. I'm going to have to change the nebula ratios to be larger. And the idea in the long term would be to add some more interesting shapes for the nebula, not just have them be squares. Okay, so do they look any bigger or not? Now they're 100 meters, which is still way too small for a nebula star, even though it's thicker. So I guess that disk is really thin. I mean, it could probably bulge up to like 1,000. And 1,000 would fit a couple stars in it. So then a nebula could be 1,000 as well. Oh no, it's too big for that. I might just have to lower the size of all my stars pretty hard. Man, it's nerve-wracking having this dog in here, I tell you what. But basically, it would be something like this, more accurately. And more or less, the idea is that the camera just zooms right into the inside of this nebula. And just basically gets to, like... And it's too big for it to really go fast, but... The idea is the camera just transitions to, like, right about here. And it's... Once it's, like, inside of the nebula, quote-unquote, it can, like... look at the stars. So it would have like stars in here, randomly generated inside of the space, and then they're like hoverable and selectable, just like nebula on the outside. If the player zooms out, it zooms out. If they zoom in, they zoom back in. The disc wouldn't like be, you wouldn't be able to like see the disc like this probably. Which I think the galactic disk is like an illusion anyway, of dust. But that's essentially the idea. So I've got to tweak this so it... Maybe if I just make this 1,000? Sorry, puppy, I'm working on something. Sorry, puppy. Alright, so now they're a little dorky looking, but they are, in fact, capable of having more stars in them, like this. Which is part of the goal. I might even be able to change the nebula ratio to like 0.5 or something. Alright, so now something that has to happen is, if I'm in the galaxy, dive into selected nebula. Oh, I use control to do that. Okay, my bad. I forgot about that. So let's just see what that behavior looks like, but I don't think it's going to be correct because it, like, transitions a little differently. So if I select this and I push control, scroll up, it's not doing anything anyway. Alright, so we have to grab the galaxy, interselected nebula, generate the disk and generate the arms. This part's gonna have to change because I'm not actually using a default camera position anymore. I'm going to have to I probably have to change all this pretty hard, to be honest. And then what is the active nebula object even? Oh. Okay, so this object should turn on, and then so as long as it's not a galaxy object, and as long as it's not nothing, then the idea is to switch to the nebula view map, turn off the galaxy view, which I'm actually debating on doing this. I think I'm going to leave that. And then turn on active nebula, which will allow it to run its like on start or on awake code, basically. Okay, so you can't switch into a nebula without a current active selection. It's not possible. And I don't mind setting the active selection to null. I don't mind setting is active selection to false. And current active selection to null. But while I'm here, I also have to move the camera. Okay, so active nebula object will generate the stars and everything, but I'm trying to deal with the nebula object on the galaxy object. So I'm looking at something like I basically need a vector 3 for new camera position, and that equals like the nebula selected nebula position minus an offset of some kind, basically. That's essentially how that's going to work. Alright, so I'm going to sort that out in the next video. Let me check, where's my time at? About an hour, so I'm going to call it for here. I'm sorry that I'm really sorry that Cinemachine and me don't mix well, apparently. Like, it's supposed to work really good, but once I'm like just making custom scripts anyway to control stuff, I might as well just avoid using Cinemachine. There might be some things in the future that it can do really well, but it's not flowing for me. And I need things to flow. I can't have the setbacks all the time, so I thank you for putting up with my complaint in this video, and I appreciate that you have stuck with me throughout this development process. So thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.